Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Welcome to another episode of My Tazkiyah. It's your brother Giba Romani. We're answering questions, and today we're dealing with understanding the neuroscience behind porn addiction. And the questioner is trying to understand, like, how does pornography affect the brain? And before we get into that, please make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, share, check out the links in the description. Please support this dawah so more people can be helped. Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, your contribution goes a long way. You don't understand. Alhamdulillah. So let's get back into it. So number one, we've talked quite often actually about this, and that's the dopamine and reward pathway. So dopamine is the neurotransmitter that plays a crucial role in the brain's reward system. You feel good, you feel like you've achieved stuff. For example, if you have completed an assignment and you feel good about it, right? You're gonna be extra happy because you've completed it. Now you're gonna go out and relax and chill. You're gonna feel very good. That's one way to understand that dopamine mechanism. So it is released in response to, as I said, pleasurable experiences. You reinforce the desire to repeat that experience, right? And if you do well in an assignment, you're gonna feel more motivated to do more assignments and to get good marks, achievements, being on a football team, for example, and winning, and so on and so forth, right? Gains in gym and whatnot. When an individual, however, when they watch pornographic content, what happens is basically that the brain's reward system is activated. Like, you feel good, you're like, wow, that's what we call it, PMO, porn masturbation orgasm. So the orgasm, big O, is like the top of the top, right? You release those neurotransmitters that relax. You feel like you've achieved something, but in reality, you have not. So your brain is fooled into believing that. So then that system is activated, however, and it releases dopamine. And now this surge of dopamine is going to increase and create that pleasure and satisfaction. So now you feel like, wow, I've achieved something, when in reality you actually have not, because it's not actual intimacy, right? And then it leads to the next thing, because you want it again. So now you have repeated exposure and tolerance. You keep going back to it. However, you build tolerance because it's not like the same as the first time. So now you keep looking for that first boost, which you will not have it. So now you're going to want to look for other stuff, which we've discussed before. Then you have, of course, the craving and addiction. Because now that tolerance develops, the individual has a craving, and he wants more explicit form of content, more shocking forms of content. We talked about that. It causes that compulsive behavior, which is a characteristic of addiction. Going back and back looking for that first hit. Next is, obviously, your brain is affected, because the more you reinforce a certain neural pathway, your brain there's that plasticity, it's malleable. And now you're basically changing the neural pathways of reward in your brain. You would be used to, for example, by fitra, to be rewarded if you were to be with a woman in halal. But because that has changed, other neural pathways have been reinforced. Now you're more inclined towards the screen and towards a 2D model, not a 3D model. So I keep reinforcing that addiction by going back to it, right? Then, of course, there's the prefrontal cortex and impulse control, right? So that what's happening is the prefrontal cortex is responsible for decision making and impulse control, and it plays a huge role in addiction, because now frequent exposure to this kind of content is going to weaken the prefrontal cortex ability to regulate impulses, making it difficult for an individual to control their porn consumption. Not just that, but also other behaviors within their daily life that are very, very important. So, for example, going to work, being motivated, being on time to work, not consuming pornographic content at work, and many other things. Then, of course, you have withdrawal symptoms, like any drug and any addiction. They need to go back to it. They need to go to more explicit content. You're going to have anxiety, irritability, restlessness. Again, we notice this very much in young boys and girls. And these symptoms can be attributed to changes in the dopamine signaling and neural pathways. And of course, it's interesting to understand that we always compare this dopamine addiction pornography itself to addiction to cocaine, dope, and so on, because the brain reacts like that. So there's a very huge similarity in what we see in CAT scans when it comes to the brain on pornography and the brain on, for example, dope. Barakallahu fikum. Please support our work. May Allah bless you and may Allah protect you. Assalamu alaikum.